The following Zoom session is being recorded and will appear later today on my YouTube channel, Math with Mayo. Therefore, when you participate in the Zoom meeting, if you do not wish for your picture or name to be made public, please leave the video off and use an alias name. If you have questions during the meeting but do not wish to speak, email me at bmail@ybcc.edu and I will respond as soon as I can. Good morning. What can we do for you today? That would be you, Antonia.
Good morning. Yes, I forgot to bring my package because normally I print them out and I forgot to bring my package. I wanted to go over 10.4 assignment for today. That one is due. I think I want to get more familiar on graphing.
Okay, I am bringing up 10.4's assignment. Give me just a minute here. Okay, and let me switch over to the other screen. Give me just a second here. Okay. And let's see, let's move that over there. Okay, let me check. So now I have your web assignment up there on the left and the whiteboard on the right. Can you see your web assignment? Antonia? Yoo-hoo.
Sorry, I had a mute and I was saying yes.
Oh, okay, so what do you want to look at?
Basically the graphing. I'm able to let me see. One of them I think I have one like.
Okay. I'm just kind of scrolling down. Here's one that looks like you had trouble with.
Yes.
Okay, so let's take a look at that. Okay. Can I get you, let's see, can I, well, give me just a minute here. We're gonna figure this out. So f of x equals 1/4 x squared, g of x equals 1/4 x squared plus 3, and s of x equals 1/4 x squared minus 4. All right, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna switch to a screen where I can graph these things to show you. Can you see the green graphs right now?
Yes.
Yeah, that is what should happen. So I'm not sure, it must be something to do with your calculation. So let's do this. Let's stay on the screen and let's look at this first one, okay? So for that one, the vertex would be at 0, 0. Are you okay with that?
Yes.
Let's pick another value. How about if we let x equal, let's go with 4, okay? If x is 4, then f of 4 would be 1/4 times 4 squared, which is 1/4 times 16, which is 4. Okay. So graphing those 2 points, can you see my mouse over on the graph?
Yes.
So you'd have 0, 0 here, and you'd have 4, 4 there. Okay. So it looks like your problem had to do with your calculations. So anyway, so you'd have 4, 4 there, right? Okay.
Yes.
Now, this next graph is exactly like the previous graph, only everything's moved up 3 units, okay? So what you could do is you could come back, click on the parabola button over here and go back and say, okay, instead of 0, 0, it's gonna be 0, 3. Instead of 4, 4, it's gonna be 4, 7. Click. Because everything's going to move up. In other words, this is going to give you that, but then you're going to add 3 units. So it's going to give you this second grid or graph, excuse me, that's right there. You see that?
Yes.
The third one is going to be the same, except now it's going to go down 4 units. So it's going to be 4, 0, which would give you this graph. Again, so you'd have 0, oops, my bad. This would be 0, -4, 0, -4, and then 4, 0. Is that making sense?
Yeah, that makes, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're going to want to clear the whole thing out and then go back and graph the first one at 0, 0, 4, 4, start over a new graph at 0, 3, 4, 7, start over a new graph at 0, -4, 4, 0. So again, you're going to start at the same place, but this is going to move up 3 and this is going to move down 4, according to these little details here and here. All right?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see. No questions there. Questions there. Okay, so here there was an issue. And the ones I'm scrolling by, I'm just skipping them if you got them correct. But if there's something you still want to look at, please let me know, okay?
Yeah, the other ones, they're easier. I just have more difficulties on the graphing.
Sure. Okay. So this one, you got the vertex and you got the axis of symmetry. So you started with the vertex correctly, but let's see, you got 0, 6 as your second point. Okay, well, let's go back and let's look at, so you know this, hang on, f of x equals x minus 3 squared plus 3. So you knew that the vertex was at 3, 3, and the axis of symmetry at x equals 3. So to find a second point, I would just go to the right or the left of the vertex. So let's go x equals 4, okay? If x is 4, f of 4 would be 4 minus 3 squared plus 3. 4 minus 3 is 1. 1 squared plus 3. 1 squared is 1. 1 plus 3 is 4. So your first point, your vertex is at 3, 3. And then you'd have a point at 4, 4, which would be right there.
Okay.
So then all this other stuff shouldn't be there. Does that make sense?
Yes. Can you show me how to do the straight line in between and there, because it tells me, is that the right way I'm doing it?
Oh, like, this thing here?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. They don't want you to graph the axis of symmetry.
Okay, because I was looking, I'm like,
yeah. If we were doing this in a classroom on graph paper, then yes, I would have you graph the axis of symmetry, which would be a dotted line at x equals 3. Oh, that's what you were doing there. Okay. Yeah, they don't have you graph that. Okay.
Okay.
Now
perfect.
I understand. I was wondering, why is that there? Okay. Yeah. So you don't graph the axis of symmetry. All right. You good on that one?
Yes.
All right. Here, it looks like your problem is in your calculations because you've got the vertex correct and the axis of symmetry correct, okay? F of x equals negative the quantity x minus 9 squared. And you've got the vertex at 9, 0, okay? So I think what I would do again is I would go maybe one to the right or one to the left and maybe put in a 10 for x. So you're just right there next to it. F of 10 is negative 10 minus 9 squared, which is negative 1 squared, which is negative 1, which is just negative 1. So you're going to have your first point at 9, 0, and your second point at 10, 1. And when you go to click on the 10, 1, if it doesn't line up correctly, go over here and look at your vertical parabola, and you can put in, you can fill in the correct values over here. And I see again that you graphed your axis of symmetry. And good for you. Unfortunately, it doesn't work in WebAssign. Okay.
Okay, perfect. Now I know.
All right. That one looks good. Okay. Oh, at least here you figured out how to make it a dotted line. So that's good because that's what it would be. But yeah, again, you wouldn't graph it. Let's see here. So same idea, you've got f of x equals 1/7 times the quantity x plus 1 squared minus 3. So your vertex is at -1, -3. So I'd go maybe just one value to the right, go 0. F of 0 equals 1/7 times 0 plus 1 squared minus 3. 1/7 times 1 squared, minus 3. 1/7 times 1 minus 3. 1/7 minus 3. Okay, so that's going to be negative, or 1/7 minus 21/7 or -20/7. Are you okay how I got that?
Yeah, you just multiply it with the denominator, right?
Yeah. Okay, so then your 2 points, one of them is going to be -1, -3. And then the next one is going to be -27. And again, here you could put in 0 and then -27 as a fraction. Don't put in a mixed number and don't put in a decimal here because it'd be repeating. You okay with that?
Yes.
All right. Let's see here. Did you want to look at 23?
Yes, please.
Okay. So number 23, use the vertex formula to find the vertex of the graph of the function. Okay, so this one is in the form of y equals ax squared plus bx plus c, where a is 2, b is -3, and c is +3. Okay?
Yeah.
The axis of symmetry is at x equals -b over 2a, which is negative times -3 over 2 times 2, which is 3/4. So your AOS is at x equals 3/4. It isn't asking for it, but that's also the y value, or excuse me, the x value of your vertex, okay? To find the corresponding y value, you need to find f of 3/4, which is 2 times 3/4 squared minus 3 times 3/4 plus 3, which is 2 times 9/16 minus 9/4 plus 3, okay? Squaring that and multiplying that straight across. Then I can reduce that down. So I've got 9/8 minus 9/4 plus 3. So my common denominator is going to be an 8. So I've got 9/8 minus plus. So 9/4 I'd multiply by 2 over 2 to get minus 18/8. And 3 I'd multiply by 8 over 8 to get 24/8. So now I've got what? 33 minus 18, which is 15/8. So that's where your vertex would be, as you see here.
Okay.
Good with that?
Yes.
Can we go on?
Yes.
All right. Okay, what happened here? Let's see here. Okay, let's take a look at 25. Find the x and y intercepts of the graph. Okay, so f of x equals -2x squared plus 4x. So that's basically y equals -2x squared plus 4x. To find the x-intercept, you set y equal to 0. So then, oops, come back here. So I get that, okay? Now, do you want to factor that or use the quadratic formula? We can do it either way.
I would like to do the quadratic formula just to get more familiar.
Okay, so A is -2, B is 4, and C is 0. Are you okay with that?
Yes.
Actually, you know what I would do? Let's do what we've looked at in terms of possibilities, and that is to make this nicer before we.
Okay.
And so, for instance, we could
divide it by 2.
Or even better, how about if we divide it by -2?
Oh, yeah.
So now I get that. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
So A is 1, B is -2, and C is 0. X equals -b plus or minus the square root of b. You know what? I didn't leave enough room there. Let's move over here. X equals -b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. X equals 2 plus or minus the square root of 4, because -4 times 1 times 0 is 0. So you just get 4 inside over 2. X is 2 plus or minus the square root of 4 is 2 over 2. So X is 2 plus 2 over 2, which is 4 over 2, or just 2. X is 2 minus 2 over 2, which is 0 over 2, or 0. So X is 2, X is 0. So 2, 0, and 0, 0 are your X-intercepts, but you would put the smaller value first. So the first one here where you've got -3, 0, that should be 0, 0. And then the next one should be 2, 0. Okay?
Okay.
Now, so this is your X-intercepts. Y-intercepts, you're going to just set X equal to 0. So f of 0 is going to be -2 times 0 squared plus 4 times 0, which is just 0. So your y-intercept is at 0, 0. Does that make sense?
That makes clear sense now.
Okay. All right. We good to go on?
Yes.
Let's take a look at 26. Okay. So this is that form that we introduced yesterday. Squared plus 4x plus 4. I'll get rid of that little thing here. Okay. Okay, so A is 1, B is 4, C is 4. To find the vertex, we need to find the x value, which is the same as the x value of the axis of symmetry. So x equals -b over 2a is -4 over 2 times 1, which is -2. So the axis of symmetry is at x equals -2. So the vertex is at -2 comma f of -2. So let's find f of -2. That's -2 squared plus 4 times -2 plus 4. -2 squared is 4. 4 plus -8 plus 4 is 0. So our vertex is at -2, 0. Okay? To find the x-intercept, you'd set y equal to 0. So let's see, this is the vertex. To find the vertex, you'd set y equal to 0. Well, we've already got it, don't we?
Yeah.
Do you want me to go on and find it a different way, or just go with it? It's up to you.
Yeah, can you show me how to find it?
So you'd go back and you say, okay, to find the x-intercept, you'd set y equal to 0. And then using the quadratic formula, x equals -b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. X equals -4 plus or minus the square root of 0 over 2. X equals -4 plus or minus 0 over 2. X equals -4 over 2, which is -2. So x-intercept at -2, 0. Okay.
Okay.
Y-intercept at 0, 4, because it's F of 0, 0 squared plus 4, 0 times 0 plus 4.
Oh, thank you. That makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ready to go on to the next one?
Yes.
Okay. So let's see here. What do we got? 27. Basically the same thing. F of x equals negative x squared plus 2x minus 1. Before we go on, did you get the story problems?
The story problems, I think you did them yesterday.
Yeah, but were you able to get them?
No, I haven't. No, not on those ones. That was
okay. So here's what I'm thinking. I don't know if I go through and just do every one, you might run out of time.
Okay.
So how about if we skip this is just like the one we did.
Yeah, that's fine.
Same thing. And let's look at some application problems. And then if we have time, we'll come back. Is that okay?
Okay. Yes.
All right. So let's take a look at 32. The height in feet of the water level in a reservoir over a 1-year period is modeled by the function h of t equals 2.7 times the quantity t minus 8 squared plus 15. Where t equals 1 represents January, t equals 2 represents February, and so on. How low did the water level get that year? All right, now, this equation is in the form y equals a times x minus h squared plus k. So a is greater than 0, which means the graph of this thing is going to open upwards. You following so far?
Yes.
Now, your variables are t and h, where t is the time and h is the height of the water in the reservoir. So on our graph, the vertex would be the lowest height of the water since it opens up. That would be the minimum value of the water. Is that making sense?
Yes.
And the t would be when it reaches that. So over here, how low did the water level get that year? They want the h value of the vertex. When did it reach the low mark? That would be the t value of the vertex. Do you follow that?
Yes.
So basically we need to find the vertex. Well, the vertex for this thing would be at 8, 15. All right, HK. So how low did the water level get that year? 15 feet. That's lowest. When did that happen? 8th month. January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August. Then that's where your answer is 15 feet in August. All right?
Okay, yeah, okay, thank you.
That makes sense?
Yes.
And let's see here. And this is talking how low did it get? So we're talking minimum. Now, let's take a look at 33, when it reaches its maximum height. So here, hopefully we have a parabola that opens downwards because we're looking for the maximum. A fireworks shell is shot straight up. Yeah, this is just like one I did yesterday. And so is 34. And so is 36. Do you want me to do those, or should I skip those and do ones like that I didn't do yesterday?
Do one that you didn't do yesterday.
Okay, so let's do 35. Suppose you are a police patrol officer and you have a 300-foot long roll of yellow do not cross barricade tape. What does it say here? To seal off an automobile accident, as shown in the illustration. All right, so basically we're going to make a rectangle, okay? What dimension should you use to seal off the maximum rectangular area around the collision? We have a total of 300 feet of tape. So the entire perimeter all the way around this is 300 feet, okay?
Mm-hmm.
If that's true, would you agree that half of it would have to be 150 feet?
Yes.
So we're going to label these two sides. We're going to call one of them X and the other 150 minus X. And again, let me illustrate that with a piece of paper here. So here's the two sides, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Together they're 150. This is the side that's X. So if I take that away, I started with 150. I take X away. What do I have left? 150 take away X, or 150 minus X. Okay?
Yes.
All right. Now, the area is 150 minus X times X, length times width. All right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to use function notation. So I'm going to say A of X equals 150X minus X squared. I'm going to rewrite it in standard form, negative X squared plus 150X. So here is the function that represents the graph where X is the value there and A of X is the area. We want the dimensions, so we want to find out what those are that maximize the area. Well, this thing is a parabola opening downwards, right?
Yeah.
And your vertex would be at X comma A of X.
Mm-hmm.
X would be this value, and A of X would be the maximum area. So again, we're looking for the vertex, okay? So for this function, A is -1 and B is 150. X equals negative B over 2A, negative 150 over 2 times -1, which is positive 75. Okay?
Yeah.
So that means X is 75 feet. 150 minus X, 150 minus 75 is also 75 feet. So that your dimensions are 75 feet by 75 feet. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
What would the maximum area be? Well, it'd be 75 times 75, all right, because you're two distances. So 75 times 75 is 5625 square feet. Now, there's a problem with the directions on this problem. And I contacted WebAssign and they didn't really give me a response. It says, what dimensions should you use? Well, it asks for a shorter side and a longer side, okay? But the sides are equal. So this set of directions is confusing. They're both the same because this thing is actually a square, which is a rectangle. So 75, 75, and then 56, 25. You okay with that?
Yes.
All right, let's see. I did one like that. I didn't do ones like 37 and 38. You want me to look at those?
Yes, please.
All right. So let's see here. 37. And let's move this over. The annual enrollment in millions in a country's elementary and secondary schools for the years 1985 to 2006 are given by the model, where X equals 0 corresponds to 1985 and so on. For this period, when was enrollment the lowest? Round your answer to the nearest year. Okay. So our equation, E of X equals 0.058X squared minus 1.162X plus 59.109. So it says, let's go back here to what it says again. When was the enrollment the lowest? Okay, this equation is a parabola opening upwards, right? Because A is positive.
Mm-hmm.
So our vertex is going to be X comma E of X. X will represent the number of years after 1985. E of X will represent the enrollment. When would it be the lowest at its minimum, which would be the Y or the E of X value of the vertex? So again, it's all about finding the vertex, okay? A is 0.058. B is negative 1.162. X equals negative B over 2A. Negative times negative 1.162 over 2 times 0.058, which is positive 1.162 over 106. I think that's right. Hang on here. Let's see. 2 times 0.058. Yeah. Oh, 1, my bad. Anyway, but going on, 1.162 divided by 0.116, I'm getting 7.2625. Okay. Hang on a second. I want to make sure I've done this correctly. Something just doesn't seem quite right. 116. Ah, yeah. I didn't punch it into the calculator correctly. Put on the old glasses again. 1, so that's wrong. 1.162 divided by 0.116. Okay, 10.0172. All right, so let's call that 10.02. Okay, or you know what? Yeah, because this thing keeps going. So I'm just going to round it off there. So when is that? That's 10 years after 1985, right?
Yes.
So that would be 1995. That's why this first answer here is 1995. Okay. Then what was that enrollment? So you want E of 10.02, which is going to be 0.058 times 10.02 squared minus 1.162 times 10.102 plus 59.109. Oh, it's calculator time. Okay, 0.058 times 10.02 squared minus 1.162 times 10.02 plus 59.109. And I get 53.28, and it said to round to 1 decimal place. So 53.3, and that's million students. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right, and let's take a look at 38. We good to go on?
Yes.
All right. The revenue received for selling stereos is given by the formula R equals negative X squared over 4 plus 60X minus 900. How many stereos must be sold to obtain the maximum revenue? All right, so X is the number of stereos and R is the revenue. This has a leading coefficient that's negative, which means it opens downward, which means our vertex is X comma R, where X would be the number of stereos sold to produce R, the maximum revenue. So again, we're looking for the vertex. A is negative 1/4, B is 60. X equals negative B over 2A, negative 60 over 2 times negative 1/4. Negative 60 over 2 times negative 1/4 would be negative 2/4 or negative 1/2. Negative divided by negative is positive. 60 divided by 1/2 is like 60 times 2 over 1, which is 120. So basically x is 120. So that's the number of stereos. And the revenue would be whatever that turns out to be. So we've got, let's see here, negative 120 divided by 120. Oops, that's wrong. Negative 120 squared, excuse me, divided by 4 plus 60 times 120 minus 900. And I come up with 2,700. So this is the stereos. Stereos. And this is the revenue. Okay?
Yes.
All righty. We've got 10 minutes, probably enough to do one more. What would you like to do?
One of them with graphing.
All right, let's go back to the graphs. Is this one okay?
Yes.
All right. So 31 f of x equals 4x squared minus 28 minus 28x plus 49. Determine the coordinates of the vertex of the graph of the function using the vertex formula, then determine the x and y intercepts of the graph. If an answer does not exist, enter D in E. Okay. So A is 4, B is negative 28. X equals negative B over 2A, which is negative times negative 28 over 2 times 4, which is 28 over 8. And let's see, that reduces down to 7 over 2. Okay. So there's where your axis of symmetry is at. The vertex is 7 over 2, comma, f of 7 over 2. Okay.
Yeah.
Which is 4 times 7 over 2 squared minus 28 times 7 over 2 plus 49, which is 4 times 49 fourths minus, oh, let's see, 28 over 2 is 14 over 1. And 14 times 7 would be 98 plus 49, which is 49 minus 98 plus 49, which is 0. So your vertex is at 7/2, comma 0. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, once again, since the vertex is on the x-axis, not only is this the vertex, but it's also the x-intercept. Are you okay with that?
Yes.
And your y-intercept is going to be at 0, comma 49, because f of 0 would be 4 times 0 squared minus 28 times 0 plus 49. Okay?
Yeah.
So you'd put in your values here, and then to graph it, you'd start with 7/2, comma 0. Now 7/2 is, what is that? 3.5. But again, it's not going to let you graph that by just clicking on it. So you're going to have to click on it and then come over here and click to open it up. Well, it's not letting me because nothing's technically been entered, but where you can type it in on the actual ordered pair. Okay. Mm-hmm. And as your second point, you can't use the x-intercept because it's the same point, but you can use 0.49. So again, you'd have to, plot your vertex, then 0.49, come over here and correct your points, because when you graph not on a nice number, the WebAssign tends to move the point to a nice number, and so you have to come over here and fix it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All righty. Well, I will be back this afternoon at 1:15. If you still have any questions, or anybody else that ends up watching this video, There will be no class meeting tomorrow. Just complete your test by 11:59 p.m. Friday night. I will be back tomorrow afternoon as well for an office hour, but again, there will be no class meeting tomorrow. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.